What's good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward, what data is coming out, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But just notes that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, looking at SPY right now, we're looking more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows, and SPY has broken some key resistance, which opens the doors for more upside. So I'm going to break down what the next levels are to watch for and why the charts are looking very bullish for SPY, the QQQ, Tesla, and the others. But let me first go over some data. So just notes that tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. There's not really a whole lot of data that's coming out. We just have the New York Fed Treasury purchases data coming out at 10:30 a.m. Very minor data, might not affect the market too much. Then we have a bill auction at 11:30 a.m. Then a bunch of Fed speakers such as Bostic and Barr. And that's pretty much it for the data. There's nothing too crazy coming out. It's mainly just bill auctions and Fed speakers. But just note, guys, that for Wednesday, we have the FOMC minutes coming out, and this is going to be very important. The minutes will cause some volatility, a big move in the markets, because it's going to give us more insights on the Fed's policies, what they're thinking about interest rates and such. So get ready for Wednesday. It's going to be a big day. But for now, going into Tuesday, there's not much data coming out, so we'll see how things go. Now, I also want to mention to everyone that right now there's a 77% chance we get a 25 basis point cut and a 23% chance we get a 50 basis point cut. Right now, that's how it's looking. We're most likely going to see 25 basis points, so we'll see how it progresses from there. And then when it comes to other factors, okay, fear is making up the majority of sentiment right now, but we're shifting rightward towards the neutral slash greedy levels. And I think that the market is getting a lot more greed that's coming into the markets. And this is going to likely lead to a lot of volatility. So momentum is now extremely greedy. We've surpassed neutral and we're back to extreme greed as the buyers are continuing to step in, and we're holding very, very nicely above our key moving averages. So that's a very, very good sign for the markets, at least for now. And then on top of that, the puts and call option positioning is currently at neutral because the 5-day average is dropping. The puts are being closed, which is causing institutions to hedge. They're hedging by going long. That's part of why the market's pumping the way it is. So they are already started doing this for the past 5 days, and we're seeing the results of that right now. So this is continuing to dip. We might see the puts and call option positioning start dipping closer to greed, and that's likely going to contribute to why the market's continuing to push. And then finally, the VIX is very, very weak right now, below its 50 daily moving average. We'll see how it ends up reacting to support. I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. But so far, the market is favoring upside. One more thing worth noting is that we have Palo Alto Networks announcing its earnings. Very minor data. I'm not going to talk too much about that. But for Tuesday through Thursday, we have more retail data coming out. We have Lowe's announcing earnings. We have Target, Macy's, TJ Maxx, and Zoom. Not to mention a few more like Peloton and Ross. So get ready for some retail earnings starting tomorrow. With that being said, what's happening with the charts? Let's talk about how these charts are looking, in my opinion. So I marked this level. It's very simple. SPY had this resistance at this 556 area yesterday. I said if we lost 556, we could be dipping. If we broke 556, we're going up to 560. I said that yesterday. If you guys rewatch my video, you would hear that. And what happened? If you were just very patient, if you just waited to see the 556 area break, you would see that SPY would be pushing all the way up to 560. So now if this level breaks, if we break 560, we're going to go for the gap fill all the way up towards it's going to be taking us to at least 562.8, if not 564. We're going to be going at least close to 563, close to all-time highs. If we continue to break past 560, SPY looks very, very strong. Now, on the daily time frame, listen carefully. The daily is looking bullish. It looks very, very bullish. If we fill this gap on the daily, we're going up towards 562.8, very close to 564, the all-time highs. We're going to likely be getting very close to all-time highs if we break past 560. That's the next level to watch for. Why do I call that out? Because we did reject on 560 once. So watch 560. If that breaks, we're going to all-time highs or very close to them, and look for another big push to at least 562.8 or higher if 560 breaks. Now, if we turn back down, watch 556 as support. If that breaks, we're going back down to basically the 556, not 560. 556 is going to be our support. If that breaks, we're going to be coming back down towards 553. I don't favor that. I think this chart looks bullish and it's favoring the gap fill. Looks like it wants to fill that gap, and so far we look very bullish. I'm making that very clear, guys. That's the direction I'm favoring. All right, Nvidia looks bullish, but the 130 area is going to be a little bit tricky resistance because we did reject there many times, and it's going to be a little tough. 130 to 132 specifically, I think we might get close to 132 as the chart's looking bullish. And if we break that, we're going all the way up to 135 at least. If you reject off 132, look for a dip back down towards basically this 125 area. But this is favoring at least 132. And if we break that, we're going up to about 135. So we look bullish on Nvidia. We favor the upside. We're doing a great job at holding up. So Nvidia looks more bullish. For ES, some futures out there, we look bullish. We actually broke past 56.25. Our next target is going to be all the way up towards 56.50, followed by the 56.90 area. If we end up losing 51.40, we will turn back down, but I don't really favor that. Sorry, not 5140, 5600. If we lose 5600, I don't know why I said that. 5600, if we lose that, we turn back down. We're favoring pushing all the way up to about 5650, and this looks more bullish to me. ES looks like it wants to go more, and I think SPY is going to follow the trend. SPX has this gap to fill on the daily all the way up towards 5640. If that breaks, we're going to continue to push. If we end up losing, 5580 will be dipping back down to 5550, but this chart is favoring that gap fill for 56.50. We look bullish on SPX. For others out there, like Bitcoin dipped a bit. It's kind of downtrending, so it's not a good sign. But I am seeing some shuffling between 57,000, about 60,000. We've been going back and forth for the last couple of days. Tomorrow it might retest 59,983, just under 60,000. Just continue to shuffle. That's all I'm seeing, at least for the time being. For Tesla, Tesla's looking bullish, very, very bullish. I've been saying this, that this is one of my favorite setups. It's bullish. It's bullish. We called this out. So if you want to be bearish on Tesla, at the very least, we need to see this thing lose at least 212. But we're not even close to that. We're actually breaking through that very nicely. If we lose 220, I'd be looking for basically like 212 as a critical support. And as long as we break past where we currently are, I'm looking for 225, 230, then eventually the 235 area. So what do I think is going to happen? It looks like a giant cup is forming. Okay, I was just going over the hypotheticals earlier. Right now, I'm just going to say that we look bullish. The daily looks very strong. That 4 hour looks very strong. I think we're going to 225 and then 230 plus quite easily. And then we also have this big gap to fill. So we'll see if Tesla fills that gap. But nonetheless, we look bullish. We look very, very bullish in my opinion. NQ looks bullish. Looks bullish to me. We need to see this thing lose 19,650 to turn back down. Otherwise, it's going to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So, in my opinion, I'm looking at this key level right here, the 20,000 area. I think we're going to test that tomorrow. I think we're gonna go a little higher for that 20,000 mark, and I think NQ has more upside potential. So to me, it looks bullish. QQQ looks bullish. Now, if we end up losing 480, I'd be looking for 477 followed by 475. Watch those two supports, okay? We need to lose 475 to turn back down. If we hold above 480, we remain bullish. So watch those levels just to be safe. But just know from a technical standpoint, the daily looks very bullish. We are favoring upside. As long as we're above 480, I think we're going to be going up to at least 484. I think there's a lot of potential for that target. There's not really much resistance until we get up there. So it has a lot of upside potential. And if we end up breaking, just hypothetically, 485, there's a big gap to fill all the way up here into the 490s. So it looks really bullish, guys. There's no sign of this chart rejecting. There are people asking me, is the market about to top? The answer is it could top. Yes, it's possible the market could top soon, but we're not topping right now. There's no sign that the market's rejecting. There's no sign that the market is going to slow down right now. All we're seeing is just a lot of upside, and we look very bullish. So all we can do is just favor what the direction is, right? There's the saying, the trend is your friend. If you go against the trend, it could cost you a lot. So be careful with that. Aapl dipped a bit and then came back up. So I was calling out this 227 area as a tough resistance on Aapl. See how Aapl didn't just break through this. It is kind of tough. If we were to lose 223, we could see Aapl dip all the way down towards 220. If we break past 226 to 227, we'd be looking for a push all the way up towards 230. I think tomorrow Aapl tests 227. If we break that 230 is coming, we look more bullish because we dipped and bounced today. The daily looks pretty good, but we need to break 227. It's kind of like a tough resistance. That's going to be your confirmation for 230, and the chart looks bullish nonetheless. For Palantir, the chart looks more bullish. I was talking about how there might be a little dip coming to watch and see if we get a bounce. We dipped and then bounced back up. We're only up about 1% for the day. If we break this, I think we're easily going up to 33, then 33.5. If we lose 32, we'll be looking for a dip back down towards 30 flat. But this is favoring at least 33 in my personal opinion. For Supermicro, in my opinion, looks a little bit more bullish on the daily. We're going to be looking at 637 as our resistance. If that breaks, the gap is going to fill and we're going back up towards 670. So if 637 breaks, we're going up to 670. If we fail to hold 620, we're going back down to 600. I think we're going to be testing 637 tomorrow. We'll see if it breaks or not. We might just shuffle for a bit, but we got to break 637 to really start pushing on this. Otherwise, it's just going to shuffle. So be careful with this. Not looking as strong as other stocks out there. Rivian, it held up decently because of Tesla and the market. We didn't get too much news on it, but just notes there's still technically a downtrend on it. This wedge is still existent, so it's still not looking the best to me. I need to see this at least try to get back above resistance right here around 13.75. If we do break 13.75, I think we're going to go back up to 14. And if we don't break past this trend line, we're going to be heading back down towards the low 13s and eventually much lower levels. So I predict what's going to happen is we start dipping down to the lower 13s. I think there could be a dip on Rivian, so I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. So watch your levels just to be safe, but just note that there is a downtrend on Rivian. There's a risk of downside. For SoFi, we look bullish. We actually broke resistance. If we were to lose, just hypothetically, okay, it's always important to know what the bearish case is. If 7.35 breaks, I'd be looking for a dip back down towards 7.25. And as long as we're above 7.35, I favor it's going to be going all the way up to 7.6 or so. So I think we're forming a nice cup right over here. I think we're going to continue to bounce. We have a nice looking structure. And I think that this chart is favoring imbalances to fill. And I think we're going up to the 7.6s, very close to 7.8. So 7.6 and 7.8 are our targets. We look bullish. Not bad whatsoever. Guys, I called out yesterday the IWM. I said this is one of my favorite setups. And lo and behold, the setup played out. We're up 1.22% so far. Got a very, very nice looking pump. I think the chart is looking quite bullish. So what's going to happen is the Russell will most likely fill this gap all the way up towards 216. And if that breaks, we're going all the way up to 220. If we lose 213, we're going to be dipping back down to 211. This chart's favoring at least 216, if not 220 soon. We look bullish, so I'm going to be looking for 216 tomorrow. 216.5 just to be precise. And if that breaks, we're going even higher towards 217.5, 220, and these higher targets. So we look bullish on the IWM. For AMD, we look bullish. I mentioned yesterday it might dip a bit, then continue higher. I said it might be testing 152 as our ultimate target. We actually broke past my price target. So if we lose 151.58, we dip back down. And as long as we're above that, we favor upside. We're looking at resistance around this 155 area. If we break that, I think we're heading straight for 160, then 162. So those are going to be your two price targets. It looks bullish. I think it favors upside, and it's going to get very close to 160, so it looks quite nice. ARM looks pretty good. We're on a nice uptrend right here. I did mention to you all it might dip a bit and test the trend line, and we'll see if it bounces off of that. I called that out yesterday, and lo and behold, it held the trend line. So tomorrow, if we lose 130, there's a risk of us dipping down to 128. As long as we hold above this, we could continue to push all the way up towards 135. So I think 135 is looking very probable. We're going to likely try to continue to push, and there's a good chance that ARM will continue to uptrend. 135 looks like a very, very good target for me, and I think that ARM looks bullish. For Coinbase, we are attempting to uptrend right here. If we were to lose 200, we could dip back down. And as long as we hold above 203, we are favoring a move up towards not only 208, but also this 212 area. So I think 208 is likely coming on Coinbase. As long as we hold above 203, I favor that nice push. So far, we're holding above it. So 208 is coming, then eventually the 210s. I also want to mention that the daily looked pretty good when I was checking it out. Daily looks nice on Coin. We're going to be looking at 208. If we break this, we're going all the way up to at least 212. So we look pretty good. We look pretty bullish, but we got to hold 203 for confirmation. Amazon looks bullish. I think we're going to 180. If 180 breaks, we're going up to 184. And if we end up losing 175, look at the trend line to be retested, which would take us down to the gap fill for 172. So watch those supports. Watch 175 for support. Watch 178 for resistance. As long as we're above 178, I favor 180. And then eventually higher levels such as 184. So we look more bullish. I favor upside for Amazon. We're doing a good job at holding up, so give it some time. Meta's looking so-so to me, not super bullish, not super bearish. We're kind of in the middle. The 530 area is acting a little bit tough for it. So like this zone right here, I'm kind of watching this. If we lose 525, look for a dip back down towards 520. If we break 530, look for 534. Otherwise, we're just shuffling between 525 and 530, which I think is all we're going to do for now. But then we'll see if we break or not. For Microsoft, we look more bullish. We're making a very, very nice looking pump, making higher highs and higher lows. If we end up dipping, I'm going to make this very clear. We'll be looking at basically 420 as our support. If 420 breaks, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down towards 417. As long as we're above 420, I favor that we're going to be dipping all the way down towards um 425. As long as we hold above 420, I think 425 is coming. Microsoft is looking bullish. It looks very, very nice, very, very beautiful setup. I think 425 is likely coming for the next couple of days, as long as we hold above 420. Google looks pretty good. I like the setup. I called this out in the morning. Just to be safe, you'd be watching 166 as critical support. If 166 were to break, there's going to be a big dip coming to like 164. And right now we look bullish. So we're going to be looking for 170 as my price target. If we get above the 170s, I think we're going to 172.24 at the very least. There's also like a gap to fill up there. So 172 is likely coming if we break 170. So we look bullish. How about GameStop? I know a lot of people are interested in this. We're kind of range bound. Look at 23.1 as resistance and then 22.3 is support. We're kind of stuck in the middle. We might dip a bit towards 22.3 and then try to bounce. So just give that some time. For AMC, we're stuck in the middle going back and forth and back and forth. We have 5.05 as resistance and then 4.96 as support. We're going back and forth and back and forth. So we're kind of stuck as well. We'll see if we end up losing 4.96. For DJT, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're basically uh, failing to break our 20 EMA. I need to see this get above 23.75 to turn back up. Otherwise, it remains bearish. I called 22 yesterday. I think it might continue to sink. So it looks kind of weak on the 4 hour. Also on the daily, it looks pretty weak as well. So I'm not really liking the setup. Um, it's looking bearish. It's a very, very bearish play right now. There's this gap to fill all the way down here around the 16, so not a good sign. We might get very close to the low 20s, so it might get very close to 20, guys. So be careful. Not looking that great. The VIX is also looking more bearish. We're actually below our 200 EMA. Just note that the daily looks kind of weak on the VIX, and then when I go to like the 4 hour time frame, just like this, we look a little bit more bearish. It looks bearish to me. There's no sign of the VIX bouncing. We could continue to fall towards the low 14s. The 10 year is going to make a big move depending on the FOMC minutes and Jerome Powell's speech. The dollar remains bearish with this cup and handle, inverted cup and handle. So this is bearish looking. So this is bullish for the markets, right? Dollar is still continuing to fall. It's been on a big downtrend. It may continue to dip all the way down to these low levels into the lower 100s. So it looks bearish to me. It looks very, very bearish. You have kind of like a head and shoulders that's slanted and it's continuing to fall. So I do see a risk of it coming down towards 101. We'll be looking at 101.5 just to see how it reacts, but it looks bearish. That's a bullish sign for the markets. So the market's testing new resistance. We have 560 coming on SPY, QQQ at 480. If we hold above those levels, we're going to be looking for the next gaps to fill, more upside potential. I really like Tesla and the IWM still. The setups look really nice. So I see more upside potential in the markets. With that being said, thank you for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. I will most definitely see you guys tomorrow for another update before the market opens. Let me just mention one thing. I know people were not in the best of moods after I released my video because I wasn't as objective about particular levels. I wasn't like so fixated on one direction. I want to make it clear that right now I'm more fixated on the upside. But there's going to be different videos depending on the circumstances that the market's in. So one day the market might be very indecisive. So I might have to make a video where I say we have to watch our level just for confirmation, and we could go up or down. Like sure, I might have to do that because of what the chart's telling me. But there's on most days the market does have a direction. So today, for example, the market's looking bullish and I'm favoring the upside. So that's why my videos have these nuances. It's just based off the charts. I try to not do that though. I try to give you guys a direction what I favor, but I can't always do that if the chart doesn't show that. So just want to kind of address those claims that were made. Totally understandable. I know people want predictions and such, but sometimes I really just can't give a prediction if the market's just so indecisive. And in this case today, that wasn't the case, and the market is favoring upside. So that's what my bias is, at least for now. So that being said, I'm not trying to say the market will go up or down. I go over a hypothetical level so you always know what could happen just in case there's an emergency or some piece of news that I can't predict comes. But I always tell you what I favor, at least when the market shows it. And I'm going to do my best to be unbiased and just give you guys a very, very good analysis. So I just wanted to make that as clear as possible. I thank you all for your attention. I thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update. Have a great day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the globe. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.